For this assignment, our group will be choosing Mesopotamia.
Mesopotamia, from the Greek meaning between two rivers, was an ancient region located in the eastern Mediterranean, bounded in the northeast by the Zagros mountain and in the southeast by the Arabian Plateau, corresponding to the modern-day Iraq and parts of Iran, Syria, Kuwait and Turkey, and known as the Fertile Crescent and the cradle of civilization. The two rivers of the name refer to the Tigris and Euphrates, and the land was known as Al Jazeera, to the Arab as a fertile land surrounded by water. The term Fertile Crescent was coined by the Egyptologist J.H. Breasted from 1965 to 1935. In 1916, to describe region at the north end as the Persian Gulf, associated with the biblical Garden of Eden. Mesopotamia was the home of many different civilizations, spanning thousands of years, which contributed significantly to the world culture and progress. Many of the aspects of daily life taken for granted in the present day, such as writing, the will and code of laws. The concept of the 24 hours a day, beer brewing, civil rights and irrigation of crops were first developed in the land between two rivers, which was home to the greatest Mesopotamian civilization. Thank you.
The cradle of civilization. Mesopotamia was a collection of varied cultures whose only real bonds were their script, their gods, and their attitude toward women. The social customs of laws and even language of the Sumerian people differs from the Akkadian period, for example, and cannot be assumed to correspond to those of the Babylonian civilization. It does seem, however, that the rights of women during some periods, the importance of literacy and the pantheon of the gods were indeed shared throughout the region. Though the gods had different names in various regions and periods, the rise of city recognized today, the invention of writing, although writing is also known to have developed in Egypt, in the Indus Valley in China, and to have taken from independently in Mesoamerica. Thank you.
In Mesopotamia, religion and learning were closely linked. The priests who performed religious rituals and maintained temples were also educated scholars. Boys were educated by their father or in school run by temples, while girls were generally not educated. Mesopotamians were significant contribute to science, mathematics, astronomy, and developed a system writing to record their knowledge.
Intellectual pursuits were highly valued across Mesopotamia, and the school, devoted primarily to the priestly class, was said to be as numerous as temple and taught reading, writing, religion, law, medicine, and astrology. There were over 1,000 deities in the pantheon of the gods of the Mesopotamian cultures, and many stories concerning the god, among them the creation myth and the Enuma Elish. It's generally accepted that biblical tales such as the fall of man and the great flood, among many others, originate in Mesopotamian lore, as they first appeared in Mesopotamian such works as the myth of Adapa and the epic of Gilgamesh. The oldest written story in the world, the Mesopotamians believed that they were co-workers with the god and that the land was infused with spirit and demon. True demon should not be understood in a modern Christian sense. The beginning of the world, they believed, was a victory by the god over the force of chaos, but even though the god had won, that did not mean chaos would not come again. Through daily ritual, attention, and deities, proper funeral practice, and simple civic duty, the people of Mesopotamia felt they helped maintain balance in the world and keep the force of chaos and destruction at bay, along with expectation that one would honor one's elders and treat people with respect. The citizens of land were also to honor the god through the job they performed every day.
Men and women both worked, and because ancient Mesopotamia was fundamentally an agrarian society, the principal occupation were growing crops and raising livestock. Other occupations included those of the scribe, the healer, artisan, weaver, potter, fishmaker, fisherman, teacher, and priestess. For the women enjoy nearly equal rights and could own land, file for divorce on their own businesses, and make contracts in trade, contract business arrangement, and correspondence were written in cuneiform script on clay tablet and signed with imprint from a person's cylinder seal, which was one form identification. Once the tablet dry, it was sometimes placed in clay envelope and sealed again, so only the recipient could read the letter or contract. Cuneiform script was used in written Semitic language such as Babylonian or other like Sumerian and remained in use until replaced by alphabetic script. Receipt for good receiver were also written on cuneiform tablet, as everything was including literature, and these have all lasted much longer than documents written on the papyrus on paper. Thank you.
Mesopotamia history.
Copper Age 5900 to 3200 BCE. The transition from stone tools and weapons to ones made of copper. This period saw the invention of the wheel and writing, both by the Sumerians, the establishment of kingship to replace priestly rule, and the first war in the world recorded between the kingdoms of Sumer and Elam, with Sumer as the victor. During the early dynasty period, all of the advancement of the Uruk period were developed and the cities and government in general stabilized. Early Bronze Age 3000 to 2119 BCE. During this period, bronze supplanted copper as the material from which tools and weapons were made. The rest of the city laid the foundation for economic and political stability, which would eventually lead to the rise of the Akkadian Empire and the rapid growth of the cities of Akkad and Mari. Middle Bronze Age 2119 to 1700 BCE. The expansion of the Assyrian kingdoms and the rise of the Babylonian dynasty, centered in Babylon and Chaldea, created an atmosphere conducive to trade and, with it, increased warfare. Hammurabi, king of Babylon, rose from relative obscurity to conquer the region and reigned for 43 years. Among these many accomplishments was his famous Code of Laws. Inscribed on the Stele of the Gods, Babylon became a leading center at this time for intellectual pursuit and high accomplishment in arts and letters. Last but not least, Late Bronze Age, 1700 to 1100 BCE. The period also saw the beginning of the decline of Babylonian culture due to the rise in power of the Kassaks until they were defeated by the Elamites and driven out. Most Mesopotamian states were either destroyed or weakened, following the Bronze Age collapse, leading to a brief Dark Age. Mesopotamia, the history of the region and the development of civilization which flourished there is more easily understood by dividing it into periods. The first one is pre-pottery Neolithic Age, also known as the Stone Age, dated 10,000 BCE, though evidence suggests human habitation much earlier. There is archaeological confirmation of crude settlements and early sign of warfare between tribes, most likely over fertile land for crops and fields for grazing livestock. Animal husbandry was increasingly practiced during this time, with a shift from a hunter-gatherer culture to an agrarian one. As more settlements grew, architectural development slowly became more sophisticated in the construction of permanent dwellings. Pottery Neolithic Age, dated 7000 BCE. In this period, there was a widespread use of tools and clay pots, and a specific culture begins to emerge in the Fertile Crescent. Scholar Stephen Brightman writes, during this era, the only advanced technology was literally cutting edge as stone tools and weapons become more sophisticated. Berman further notes that Neolithic economy was primarily based on food production, though farming and animal husbandry, and was more settled as opposed to the Stone Age, in which communities were more mobile. Architectural advancements naturally followed in the wake of permanent settlement, as did developments in the manufacture of ceramics and stone tools. Even so, the historian Mark van de Meerup notes there was not a sudden change from hunting-gathering to farming, but rather a slow process during which people increased their reliance on resources they managed dryly, but still supplemented their diets and hunting wild animals. Agriculture enabled an increase in continuous settlement by people.
That is all from us for a video about Mesopotamia. Thanks for watching.